Let's face it, in this day and age, everybody's trying to put a big spot lock trolling motor on the bow of their kayak. And it's really great, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it. I've been running it for years and I love it. I used to have a bow mount trolling motor on my Hobie PA14 and I moved the same one over to my Nucanoe when I ditched the PA14 for my tricked out Nucanoe Unlimited. You can check that thing out down in the description below. I'll link the video. Unfortunately, if your kayak doesn't have a rudder like my Nucanoe Unlimited, the back end of that thing is going to be swaying back and forth as you cruise down the river or lake. This is Captain Dan with Goober Time Guide Service, and I've got a really simple fix for you today that doesn't cost $400 like some rudder systems cost for kayaks. Nucanoe. If you shop around, you can do this project on the cheap, and I'm going to show you all the parts you need once we get over to the workbench right here. Let's go. First thing you're going to need for this project is a trolling motor. Ideally, search around Facebook Marketplace. I literally got this one for free because when I showed up to pick it up for $30, we plugged it in, it didn't work because the guy left it outside and fried the electronics. So literally free for me on this. And that's the key to the project right here. So find one of these as cheap as you can. We're gonna tear it apart. Then you're gonna wanna order two things off of Amazon. This rudder kit right here. And just so you guys know, all these parts are linked in the description down below, so you can always check them out. And the other thing you're gonna wanna order from Amazon is this package right here with these little plugs, and I'll show you what those are for when we get to them. If you don't have some kind of duct tape, or what I prefer is Gorilla Tape for this type of scenario, get some of that. This stuff's pretty heavy duty and it's gonna last a long time. As far as tools go, this should be pretty straightforward. I'm gonna have a tape measure, which I probably won't even use. We're gonna try and do some finesse on this using a drill and some wire cutters, but there's a good chance we're gonna get impatient and just go over to the Sawzall. So what do you say we start tearing this trolling motor apart? If you're looking at the front edge of your trolling motor opposite the handle, this is a Minn Kota Endura C30, I believe. There's a little screw right there. We're gonna pop that out, see if we can't take this apart pretty tactfully. Just had the bolt fall off the back. We should be able to push that through. There we go, popped right out. I'm hoping this handle will slide right off, which it looks like it will. Then you're gonna wanna get in there and snip those wires so you can get this control head off of your trolling motor. You can set that to the side, that's junk now. This little cap right here, not gonna need it. That's the trolling motor lock ring. Not gonna need that. Save it to the side if you want to, but all you're really gonna need is this assembly right here. Now taking a look at this down here, we don't have any kind of fixtures to take this apart. I think it might unscrew to come apart, but I don't really have time to mess with that right now. I'm just gonna go at it with power tools. If you have a hacksaw, that would work great too. But before I jump into that, this is a fiberglass shaft. I don't want it to splinter on me, so I'm gonna take a piece of tape and wrap as far down on this shaft as I can. I don't want any shards coming off in my hands or splintering up the shaft here. I'm gonna throw a stop block behind this so I don't tear up my workbench, and then we're gonna go to town. Now we've got the wire through there. That's all junk down here. We can toss it to the side. If you have another motor, you might wanna save the prop and the prop nut so you have a replacement. Otherwise, that thing is useless. Then what you wanna do is pull your wires through there, maybe take them to the scrapyard or save them for another project or just toss them. Now having taped that up, we've got a pretty nice clean cut right there. You might want to do a little sanding, but honestly, we're not going to do a whole lot with that right there. Now, I'm not saying you have to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below, but my sources tell me that if you don't, you're going to find the perfect hook that hooks up every time, and the company's going to discontinue it. So the easiest thing you can do is just knock those three things out right now. We really appreciate it. It helps the channel out. We're going to set that to the side and take a look at our rudder kit here. So these are built for trolling motors. So the way this one comes, it's got the 35mm rings on there. That's good as it is. So I'm not gonna need any of the extra parts in there. Save them for later, or if you have a different shaft size, you might need them. I'm gonna pop these two plates off right here so I can get this onto my trolling motor. I'm gonna start just by loosening them, and I can probably slide them right up there. Now I'm gonna want this to sit pretty much flush with the bottom of my shaft here. So I'm gonna look at those two spots, and I'm gonna wrap tape there just so those brackets have something to bite onto. A little bit more of that Gorilla Tape, wrap those two spots, and this project's almost done. All right, so now we're gonna take that bracket right here, slide that up our trolling motor. Don't even have to take those all the way off. Put it right on your tape marks and clamp it down. In case you're curious, we've got a shaft length right here of about 28.5 inches, and I've already pre-measured this on my Nucanoe. If you're building it for that kayak, this length's gonna work perfectly for you. Set that up so it's just flush down here. Now you might be thinking what we're using these plugs for right here. Remember, link down in the description so you don't have to search around for the size, but these just so happen to fit right in these grooves right here and plug up our shaft really nicely. You don't even really need them, but I just like to make it look like a nice, clean, finished product right there. See how nice that finishes up? Beautiful. It's like it was made to fit that shaft. You can throw another one in on the top too. Again, if water gets in there, it's not a big deal. This is a fiberglass shaft, so it's not gonna rust or anything. Any rust that's on here is from the motor, from the previous owner not really taking care of it. I'm only doing these shaft covers for a nice, clean look. Now the beauty of this system, it's pretty much done. You can use this lock tab right here and adjust your height. So if you're in some really skinny water, you can pull it up. If you're fishing some deeper water, leave it run as far down as you can. That's going to be the most stability right there for your kayak. That's a pretty simple build. Let's get this thing on the water and show you how it handles. All right, so here we are pointing the kayak straight up river. I'm using the directional lock, so it's using GPS to point straight ahead. If you watch the background, you can just see us swaying back and forth with the motor trying to correct. It has nothing to grab the water back there, and we're actually heading for the bank right now, so I got to adjust with the remote. But here we are. We're supposed to be going straight upriver, and it's really just not happening. I'll turn it around, let you see how hard the motor has to work here in a second, but we're just going all over the place. Well, we made to the boat ramp, got the rudder back here. Installation could not be easier. Whether you have the motor bracket or if you just want to go right onto the square transom here, it's not a big deal. Slide it over the bracket or the back of the kayak. Anything with a flat back will work, or any kind of motor bracket. Tension it down just like you would a normal trolling motor. And that's about all there is to it. So let's take a look at how this lays up with the kayak. We've got the bottom of the hull right down here, and it hangs down pretty much the entire distance of that rudder right here. So that's all gonna be underneath the boat, which means water is gonna be holding that and keeping you in that straight track. You wanna make sure you get this centered so it's right down the center of your kayak right there, right down the back. Make sure it's turned the right way. The good news is you can fine tune all this stuff just with this little knob right here. You can fine tune the height. If you want to pull it up, you can. If you want to drop it down, you can. If you need to tilt it one way or another, go for it. And once you're satisfied, just lock it down with the knob. Now, right on par with any normal trolling motor, you've got this lever right here. Kick that up, and you can have that sticking up out of the water so it's not hitting the mud if you're in really shallow water. I'm sure you could rig some kind of pull string up to this so you could do it from your seat. But on a Nucanoe, you can turn that seat right around and reach right back to it, so it's really not a big deal at all. No need to overcomplicate it. All right, so now we've got the rudder down in the back here, and you can tell that we are just tracking straight up the river here. Very fine adjustments from the motor, not a whole lot going on. I'll spin it around so you can see the motor head. So there you have it, guys. Pretty simple project. I don't think I have more than about 30 bucks in this thing, especially since I got that motor for free that I hacked up in the back. Hopefully you can find a deal like that near you. I hope you like that hack as much as I do. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we've got more Nucanoe and kayak fishing hacks coming up. Thanks for watching.